when we look at it, we have a big cost bucket in the beginning for incorporation. We have a big cost bucket for the legal agreements, the employment agreement specifically, anything that the employees need to sign that needs to be adjusted to local standards and to whatever company policies the company has. Then, of course, the whole setup of payroll is costly, right? Because usually everybody looks first only at what's the cost per payslip? How much is my running cost? But of course, to set up the systems, to prepare the data, to potentially do integrations with any headquarter systems, that will also require time and investment. So you already have 3 quite substantial cost buckets that are usually the only ones looked at, right? And then there's the kind of second layer that comes only after you start operations, right? So accounting, for example, and audits is a really big cost bucket that a lot of companies usually, from what I see, underestimate. And then the final bucket, I think, that is generally underestimated is how much time a team needs to dedicate to setting this entity up, right? So imagine, for example, your HR team. You would probably need somebody that familiarizes themselves with the processes, the legislation, the do's and don'ts of that country. And I think the last point that is also usually underestimated is what happens in the running of the entity, right? So when you take all these buckets together, the costs that you can get quoted, you have them on paper very easy. The costs that come in maybe also as quoted, but at a later stage in the process. The costs of your HR team, your finance team, your legal team getting used to that country, and also these risks of what happens when things go wrong and I'm not familiar with the processes. Like, how much do I have to pay if something really flies out of the standard process? All these costs need to be combined, and this is also where we usually come up with an estimate of 60,000 euros of running an entity, both in setup and in initial year rundown. So of course this might vary over time, right? As some of the setup costs become less, and you just have variable costs. But again, in the running of an entity, sometimes you have crazy spikes because things that you didn't expect that would happen will just happen.